Hello students, this is Nnamdi from Enstar Technologies. Today I'll be showing you how to install SQL Server 2017 Developer Edition. The 2017 Developer Edition, actually from 2014 till the most recent versions, the Developer Edition is available for free. And it has the exact same features as the Enterprise Edition. There's caveats to it you can read up on why you shouldn't use the Developer Edition in your production environments. But for testing, for learning, you have everything you need in the Dev Editions. So today we'll be installing the SQL Server 2017 Developer Edition, and you can download that for free on the Microsoft Microsoft SQL Server downloads page. That's where I'm currently on. And if I scroll down, you see the developer. I can download it now. It's very intuitive. Just download. You have different options to do your download. You can download the files or download an ISO. I've downloaded the ISO, and you can actually just straight up install from the website. But there's limitations there, so I prefer to download the files and install it myself. So I've already done the download, but this is where you come. If you go to Microsoft SQL Server downloads, you see the option to download the Developer Edition for free, and you can get started. And then I'll open up my ISO. So I'll go ahead and mouse the ISO so I can install. So right click. Alright, so now I have access to all of my files. On the setup, I'll run as administrator and say yes. And the reason I run as administrator all the time is sometimes you might not have administrator privileges as the DBA on the account, and maybe you have administrator accounts you use for installation. But one thing that is always true is a prerequisite to install SQL Server is you need to have an administrator level account, else you would not be able to install SQL Server. Alright, it's going to go through this whole processing, and it should bring up the installation center anytime now. Here we go. I'll bring that into the window. Alright, so that's the installation center. To the left, you see where we have installation. I'll click on the installation tab, and then I will click on new SQL Server standalone installation, because that's what we're doing. Alright, while that is going on. Alright, so next it brings up the product key page, and as you can see here, I don't need to specify a product key. I have the free developer edition, so I'll go ahead and hit next. Of course, we have to accept the license terms and hit next. It's going to check for if my system meets the requirements. Everything looks good from my end. I don't want to check the updates. I want to do my updates on my own afterwards, so I'll hit next. Okay, all of the install rules are good. I don't have a firewall active. That's probably why you have that warning, so that's not a problem. I'll hit next. Okay, again, this is why I choose to manually do the install, so I can get to pick my features. Again, you can select all, but that would be lazy. I don't recommend this. If you don't select features you don't need, it's going to eat up on your resources. So make sure you're selecting features that are required for the job you're trying to do, especially if you're doing this in a production environment or work environment. There's licensing things to consider, there's resources to consider, so be careful. I would say for a newbie trying to get into SQL Server who is just learning, read up on those features and get familiar with what each of them does, so you know why you're picking which one. I'm going to go ahead and pick some of the ones I feel I need. Just for learning and going forward, I'll select replication. I'm going to leave out the analysis and the rest of those guys. Under the shared features, again, if you look, there's the instance features and there's the shared features. And I've explained it before in the previous installation video I did, but every installation of SQL Server you have on your server is called an instance. I can have multiple instances. I can have multiple installations, right? So for the instance features, it means features that are unique to every instance I build. So every time I do a new SQL Server build, I will have to select these instance features. However, the shared features means these are common features. These are common to all the instances. So every instance I have will have these features. Whatever I select here will be spread across the board for every installation I do. So that's the difference between the shared and the instance. I just need to do this once, and every time I do a new install, I won't have to select them again. While the instance features, I'll have to select every time I do a new build. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and select these guys. Just making random selections for my shared features. Again, the features you require might be different from what I have. It's all about the need. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you building this instance to do? That will drive what features you select. Most places, if you're doing this at your job, they probably have an installation guide. They probably have a set of features they use to do work. So always make sure you're paying attention to that. Don't just select all the features. Alright, I think I'm okay with what I have. I'll hit next. Okay, so there's two instance options here, the default instance and the named instance. So every instance I do or you build in SQL Server will have a name. Your default instance will just inherit the name of your server, while the named instance, I will choose what name I want to call this instance. So in this case, I would do a named instance. I already have a default instance running from a different version. So I'm going to call this N-star training, something like that. Let's make up a cool name, N-star install training. And okay. Alright, so that's that. So I'll go ahead and hit next. Alright, so the next page here is the service account. I need to specify my service account. Every time I do an install, it's going to create these 4 services. Depending on the features you select, there could be more, there could be less. I won't go into details explaining these services, but every install you do will SQL Server runs on services, and each of them require service accounts. You will need to specify that service account name and the password. Just for today, because we're learning, because this is practice, I will leave the default account names. But again, make sure you have the correct service account information and password. Alright, and I'll set the startup type for the agent to automatic. This is important. Alright, I'll go ahead and hit next. I want to do mixed mode authentication. There's 2 ways you can authenticate in SQL Server. That's the SQL Server authentication, as you can see here, and the Windows authentication, as you can see right there. I want to be able to do both of them. That's why I select the mixed mode authentication. Once I select the mixed mode authentication, you can see that it gives me the option to specify a password. When I do the Windows, this goes away. The password option is not there. But when I do the mixed mode delete, it's asking me to specify a password, because it's going to create what we call the SA account. That's the system administrator account. So go ahead and specify your password, preferably something strong, even though at this stage it doesn't really check. And of course, grant access to anybody who will be an administrator. You see, I just added current user, that's myself, as a user, as an administrator on this account. If you have additional people who will be administrators, you can add them, or you can always do this afterwards. Next, I want to specify my data directories. So I will come on here, and then again, this part you can leave it as is. Again, this is another thing that will be provided to you. You're going to have standard locations where you where you put your installation your data files, your log files, your backup files, all of that, all of your data directories. You know where you need to put them. But I like to keep mine organized, so I'm going to force SQL Server to create some folders for me, just so this is clean. I'm going to use this. I'm going to say create on C drive, since this instance is called Start Training. Again, I'm trying to force Microsoft to create folders for me. That's what I'm trying to do here. Alright, and so manually, these parts don't exist, but SQL Server is going to create those folders for me because I'm specifying them here. Let me make sure it looks good. Next thing, I'll go to the TempDB files. Now we know in the older versions this wasn't allowed. You had to have TempDB file locations as part of the data directories, but in 2016, 2017, they've moved the TempDB file location to its own tab. So that's one difference in installation you have to, if you're not familiar with this process already. Now there's something cool they've done. They're asking you to specify a number of TempDB data files. This enhances performance. So if you're familiar with TempDB and how it works, TempDB is a temporary work area for SQL Server. And the recommendation is that you have as many TempDB data files as you have processors. And so it defaults to the number of processors you have. I have 4. I've checked that before. I have 4 logical processors on my PC, and that's why it's defaulting to 4. And the maximum you can go or number of files that's recommended is 8. So don't go beyond 8 TempDB data files, but as many processors up to 8. All right. So this setting is good. I'm going to change the location of the directories. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to add mine. Let's just make a new folder. Let me go to C. I'm going to make a new folder. I'll call this and start training. Alright, so I'll select that and I'll hit OK. Alright, I think we're good, so I'll go ahead and hit next. And this place gives me a summary of all of my choices, all of the selections I've made. If you're comfortable with it, especially check for your features, the shared features, the database features you selected, all of these guys. If you feel comfortable with everything and it's good, you can go ahead and hit install. Depending on how fast your system is, this could take 5 minutes, it could take 10, or if it's really slow, it could take forever. Alright, so we'll see how long this takes. Alright, so my installation is done. I can go ahead and close this now. And to access your installation, you will need to install Management Studio. So I can click on this link and it will take me to Microsoft's website. I download the most recent version of SSMS. Again, that's another thing that's different with the newer versions of SQL Server and the older ones. So you need to download SSRS separately to install. You need to download your Business Intelligence Development Studio separately. You need to do Management Studio separately. So you can go ahead, download SSMS and install that. Let me install that at your own convenience. I'm going to stop here and not try to poke around Microsoft website to look for an installation file. But thank you for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you again soon.